this famous lady. It is now more than 100 years, 120 years that your famous book, which was at that time already, we would call it today a bestseller, because it was translated into more than 20 languages, Down with Your Arms. What was your motivation to write this book, Mrs. von Suttner?
I wanted to support the peace movement, which I had heard of when I was in Paris. And what better way existed to spread their ideas than writing a book? And the most effective way would be a book written as a novel. It is the story of a young woman, Bertha, whose personal destiny was intensely connected with the wars fought in our days. My aim was not only to write what I was thinking, but also to write what I was feeling, passionately feeling. I wanted to express the pains which were burned into my soul by the thought of wars. Life, quivering life, reality, historical reality I wanted to demonstrate. Rather than describing the typical turmoil of fighting or the heroic actions of soldiers, I wanted the human suffering to come to the fore. The release of the book was not easy. The reason for this, most of the readers would be offended by its content. Yes, this prudery, this prise decorum, all atrocities are allowed to happen, but you are not allowed to name them.
Yes, how true. So what was your motivation originally to engage yourself in the peace movement?
Each day I received letters and book reviews from all over the world. I came in contact with many people connected with the peace movement. Of course, the adversaries were not missing. A lot of anonymous letters of mockery and dispraise were delivered. They made fun of my sentimental foolishness and gave advice the old lady should stick to her novels in which she was rather talented. Writing the book led to many new experiences and relationships which drew me further and deeper into the peace movement, until finally I didn't want to be involved with only my pen, but with all my strength as well. Then I witnessed the founding of the Peace Society when I was in Venice, and got to know many important representatives of the international peace movement. They asked me to inspire Austrian representatives, and back in Vienna we met some parliamentarians and briefed them about the Interparliamentary Union. The sirs of parliament were listening with interest but also with skepticism. I knew that I would never have a chance of becoming a member of the Interparliamentary Union, because women didn't even have the right to vote at the time. So the only way to do something for peace was independently. Then I heard about the Congress of all private peace societies of the world, which would take in Rome. However, no peace society existed in Austria at the time. This fact made me restless. So I wrote a request for the founding of an Austrian peace society and sent it to the newspaper. With unexpected success, hundreds of letters arrived from all social classes, and eventually, in the autumn of 1891, I was elected president of the Austrian Peace Society at its formation assembly. And in this role, I went to the State House in Rome and was the first woman in history to speak there.
In 1905, you were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. It was the 5th year of award, and I remember that you had hoped to get it earlier, because you actually were the favorite of Mr. Nobel.
It is for sure that Alfred Nobel wanted me to be the winner of the prize. He was a good friend of mine since my short learning period for him in Paris, and during his lifetime he financially supported the peace movement and, as I had mentioned before, based on my suggestion, initiated the prize. It would have been better if he had done this in a clearer and more obvious way, because there were first the quarrels about the legacy, then there were a lot of sirs in the committee who were responsible for the awarding. When I received the message from the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, I was traveling through Germany giving speeches. I actually wondered whether I should really accept the letter, because the postal fee on it wasn't enough, and I would have to pay the difference. Nevertheless, I accepted it. Instead of joy, it also brought sorrow with it. So many bills to pay. However, it was still magnificent.
You experience a fate which is rather often the fate for Austrians. That you are much praised abroad, but in Austria, hardly anybody seems to remember you, to know you. But at your time, you were the most famous woman of the world. In Austria, you were, even throughout your lifetime, often ridiculed and called Peace Bertha or a naive woman. Maybe even today it would be possible that you would be despised as a Gutmensch, as a do-gooder, which unfortunately happens. But you dedicated most of your life a big amount of your life to the peace movement. So what was originally the idea, you were planning to organize a congress in Vienna for an international peace congress in Vienna for the year 1914, knowing the dark clouds that were coming, and you wanted to warn, but unfortunately the congress never took place because the First World War broke out. So the question is what several people seem to say or to think today, that the peace movement is doomed to be a failure because of the wars that still happen. Would you consider yourself to be naive or realistic?
Due to the egoism of people, everything but probably can't be achieved in a lifetime is called utopia. But that doesn't mean that an idea should only remain an ideal. Those who scoff at the peace movement or at the dedication for social issues are happy to assume a pose of triumph when they fail. But skeptics lose their courage, and even some of the pacifists predict the most horrible catastrophes for the near future. The genuine and confident pacifists are always the optimists. They do not only wish, they do not only hope, they are sure that the world, that mankind will make progress and develop upwardly. However, this optimism doesn't make us blind to what is happening today or to the dangers of the future. What I have learned is these movements do not proceed in a straight line or with as regular a pace as I had thought at the time. It is like a zigzag line which goes up at some point, when falls down, seemingly disappears, and then comes back with new impetus from unexpected places. In all cases where something new is developing, there is a fight between all forces from each direction. Nowadays, you have so many possibilities to establish peace. Yes, many issues are still in disorder. However, many issues are moving in the right direction. What makes me proud is the fact that most people do not regard war as a law of nature any longer. Nowadays, we don't have wars, at least not in Europe. We have an international arbitration court, we have the European Union, and we have the United Nations. And all of this, if I may say so, can also be traced back to my own initiative and contributions.
Thank you very